Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. S. Naeem Bagum, Assistant Professor of Political Science, Indira Priyadarshini Government Degree College, Nampally, Hyderabad. Today I am going to cover the topics like the theories of international relations. So before going to know what are those theories, it is important to know what is theory. Theory is nothing but a set of ideas and concepts of a particular subject. As far as coming to know international theory, it is the study of international relations from a theoretical perspective. It attempts to provide a conceptual framework upon which international relations can be analyzed. In fact, according to Old Holsty, who describes international theories as acting like pairs of colored sunglasses that allow the wearer to see only the silent events that are relevant to the theory. For example, an adherent of realism may completely disregard an event that a constructivist might pounce upon as crucial, and vice versa. There are several theories are there as far as international relations are concerned, but the most prominent theories are realism, liberalism, idealism, constructivism, institutionalism, in fact the latest one, feminism. So coming to discuss, start with the idealism. Idealism uh, has been propounded by Woodrow Wilson, the American president, in 1920s. Idealism is a foreign policy context holds that a nation state should make its internal political philosophy the goal of its conduct and rhetoric in international affairs. For example, an idealist might believe that ending poverty at home should coupled with tackling poverty abroad. So both within and outside of United States, American President Woodrow Wilson is widely considered as an early advocate of idealism and codifier of its practical meaning. Specific cited include the issuing of the famous 14 points. So while describing the 14 points in American Congress, Woodrow Wilson has explained the very meaning and nature of idealism. So idealism is a theory which believes in establishing peace not only in a particular region but also throughout the world. As everybody knows, the fact that Woodrow Wilson was responsible for the establishment of League of Nations. In fact, the last point of his 14 principle emphasized the establishment of an international organization so as to preserve the peace and avoid the war-like situations among the nations. So, in this way, idealism believes mainly on peace. So peace not only in a particular region but also the peace should be established throughout the world. In fact, the idealism believes that the world must be made safe for democracy. So idealism emphasizes on exploring, spreading the importance of democracy. And democracy, everybody knows, based on the principles of peace, rights, freedoms. So, idealism mainly focuses on peace, and the peace must be planted upon the tested foundations of political liberty. So, peace can be possible only if liberties of everybody should be given. So, we have no selfish ends to serve in idealism. We desire no conquest, no dominion. We seek no wars for ourselves, no material compensation for the sake of every life freely which we make freely. We are but one of the champions of peace of mankind. We shall be satisfied when those of um, instruments which play an important role in securing the faith and freedom of everybody. That is what Woodrow Wilson believes. So idealism is one of the important theories of international relations which where All the stakeholders play an important role, means leaders of the world should play an important role for establishing peace by assigning or by founding the laying the foundation stones for democracy, which believes in freedoms of all. This is what idealism means. Coming to know realism. This is another important theory of international relations. Realism is one of the dominant school of thought in fact in international relations. Political realism has been the dominant theory of international relations since the conception of the discipline. Means since the conception of politics, it means. Why? Because as everybody knows that politics has its own roots in Greek philosophy. So the theory of realism claims to rely upon an ancient tradition of thought which includes the writers such as Thucydides, Machiavelli, Hobbes. Thucydides belong to 5th century, Machiavelli belongs to medieval century, and modern realist who believes in classical realism was Thomas Hobbes. So in this way, realism has its own imprints not only in modern and medieval but also in ancient. That's what most of the scholars believe, that realism has uh, uh, as the root cause of ancient. Early realism can be characterized as a reaction against interwar idealist thinking. Means it was totally against to that of idealism. The outbreak of Second World War was seen by realists as an evidence of the deficiencies of ideal thinking. There are various standards of modern day realist thinking. However, the main tenets of the theory have been identified as statism, survival, and self-help. Statism. Statism means the nation states are the main actors in international politics. As such, it is a state-centric theory of international relations. This contrasts with that of liberal international relations, uh, where, in fact, which focuses on the role of non-state actors and international institutions. So this difference is sometimes expressed by describing a realist worldview as one which sees nation states as billiard balls. Liberals would consider relationship between the states to be more cooperate. Survival. Realist believes that the international system is governed by anarchy, meaning that there is no central authority. Therefore, the interpersonal relationship among the nations is for the struggle for power between the self-interested states. Self-help. Realists believe that no other states can be relied upon for the survival of the other states. So it is the responsibility of every state so as to help itself for surviving in this international arena. Coming to know the features of realism, in fact, there are four important propositions of realism which are very important. Number one, states are the most important actors. Means realism believes that state is the main important thing. Next, the international system is anarchic. Why? Because every state wants to develop on its own. That's why it became anarchic. And the very important focal point in the realism is states. So no actor exists above the states, capable of regulating their interactions. States must arrive at relations with other states on their own, rather than it being dictated to them by some higher controlling entity. The international system exists in the state of constant antagonism, means anarchy. All the states within the system are unitary rational actors. States tend to pursue self-interest. Groups strive to attain as many as resources as possible. Last but not the least, which is very important feature of realism, is the primary concern of all states is survival. States, for that cause, states build upon their militaries to serve, which may play an important role in establishing. So in this way, power dominates as one of the important determinant of international relations. We can give the best example of British position, which played an important role in balancing the powers between the Russia and France at one side. At another side, Persia, which was regarded as Germany and Austria-Hungary. So early to First World War, each states want to develop its own power. A power in terms of that is establishing colonies. So Russia, France, Germany, Austria, these states played an important role to control or establish as much colonies as they could, either in Africa, Asia, and Latin American countries. But England played an important role in balancing them. So England's policy was because of nature, I want to say, because of the access of water to Britain. That's why it stands as the number one in naval power and got success to um, emerged as the most important at the top of the whole European powers by defeating Russia, France, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Dutch, Portugal, and established its hegemony throughout the world. So in this way, power plays an important role in determining the concepts of relations between the nations early to 19th century. So we can also give the example of Cold War politics, which play an important role in balancing the power. Means in this Cold War politics which exist since 1945 to 1990, where United States of America at one side and USSR at another side, means erstwhile Soviet Russia. Okay, they balance the power. In fact, it was something like bipolarity. The whole world has been divided into two poles. Okay, one is headed by America, which was supporting the concept of capitalism. At the same way, Russia, which was supporting the communism, and in this way, they by influencing, by establishing their hegemony in certain parts of the world, they balance the whole international relations. Okay, why? Because after the Second World War, United States of America, by launching several programs like Marshall Plan, etc., started giving aid to the countries, to the newly emerged countries of what I want to say, colonial politics. Okay, and at the same time, Russia also, erstwhile Russia, Soviet Russia also played an important role in balancing the power in their own content. So America got success in influencing its policy of capitalism. Israel, Ethiopia, Taiwan, South Korea, South Vietnam, West Berlin, West Germany, Britain, France, Japan, they means America got success in influencing its principle of capitalism on these countries. On the other hand, Soviet Russia got success in influencing its policy, its ideology, I can say, of communism on Syria, Egypt, Somalia, China, North Korea, North Vietnam, East Berlin, East Germany, Poland, Czech Republics. So in this way, the Cold War balance of power also, we can say the whole Cold War politics have been determined by balancing of power among the nations by Russia, what I want to say, at one side and America at another side. So unipolar world. So after 1990s, with the disintegration of Russia, okay, America got success in establishing unipolar world. So now America has been dominating the power. So the power has been in the hands of one, that is America. On the other side, the contesting again, the main contestant for America will definitely be Russia, Japan, European Union, consist of the whole Europe, European powers, China and India. So in this way, what I am trying to say, the whole politics of either First World War, means up to the First World War in the name of balance of power, or the Cold War politics, that is in the name of bipolarity, or after the post Cold War period, that is unipolar world, even we can say the present scenario, that is multipolar world, also means based on the concept of power. So in this way, power plays an important role in realism. The whole international relations have been explained better by the theory of realism. So coming to know what is power. Power means, so there is a need that we should know what is the meaning of power and how these international actors have been playing an important role for the cause of power. So power means persuasion or influence, capabilities. So the power is the concept where the state can perceive, means got success in influencing the in foreign policies of different nations of the world. Like how America recently wanted to solve the problem of Kashmir by using the method of persuasion. This is number one. Number two, this is what the power of America reflects. Coming to know influence. Power also means influence, and how the foreign policies of Pakistan have been influenced by China. So this is what Chinese power on what I want to say, Pakistan. So capabilities. So power also means capabilities. Definitely I want to give the example of India. So India is having the capability of either naval power or what I want to say, army or air force. So capability also reflects power. In fact, here we can divide the power into different categories like hard power, soft power or sharp power. So coming to know hard power. Hard power, a country can be reflect its power. Hard means in form of property or wealth. So wealth also sometimes play an important role so as to reflect its hard power. Geopolitics means geography also play an important role in assigning the power to a particular country. So before going to know the role of the geopolitics as one of the important core of hard power, it is important to know the wealth. Why? Because hard power also includes wealth, either in form of currency. Let us take the example of dollar. Which has been playing an important role in determining the currencies of the world, and how America, as everybody knows, the contribution of America is more in United Nations of organization. That's why it is influencing the policies, resolutions of UNO. So in this way, hard power also play an important role in determining the relations among the nations. Geopolitics, the means geography. So the geographical location of a country also play an important role to stand as more powerful in the world. Most of the countries of North, particularly, which the best example is the developed North and underdeveloped South. So that is the reason why after 1990s, almost all the countries who have been located in the developing North or underdeveloped South wanted to have a dialogue with the developed north. Why? Because almost all the countries of means developed countries have been located in the north. So definitely because of the location, the geographical location which they were having, very easily access to the countries of the world. So what I am trying to say, Middle East countries for example, which are definitely rich because of the petroleum products, and the almost all the the countries who are developed have easily access to these Middle East countries. So in this way, geography, geopolitics also play an important role to make nations more powerful. Next, population. The countries which are big in size, definitely China. What I want to say next, India, Brazil, America. So these countries, because of population, also become very important. Man means the power, manual power, I can say. So in this way, China recently got the tag of developed because of the contribution of the population towards the building of the nation. So in this way, hard power includes property, includes geopolitics, includes the population. So these three play kinds of what I want to say, the properties also make a nations more powerful. Coming to know soft power. Soft power, definitely I want to give the example of the mind. How the same Coca-Cola product is differ from country to country. Knowledge, soft power means the knowledge, the education, the excellency in developing business. So here I am going to give the examples of three important countries, having the same brand of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola definitely be the brand which has been originated in America but has been playing an important role in influencing or getting the business from different countries of the world located in different what I want to say continents of the world. Thailand, which is having the brand. Okay, Algeria is also having the brand like Coca-Cola. They have, and South Korea. Means in different countries of the world, okay, America got success in influencing the minds of the people by different brands. Is definitely hats off to Americans. So in this way, if we put hard and soft power, we are going to get another. So in this way, both the hard power, soft power, and sharp power. Sharp power, I want to give the example of Donald Trump's elections, where he got success in defeating even Hillary Clinton. Why? Because he has got success in addressing the main important problems which the Americans have been facing. So anyhow, a country by having the sharp power, hard power and soft power played an important role in determining the international relations. Coming to know another important theory of international relations, that is liberalism. Liberalism is the product of the modern world, that is 20th century product. As far as international relations are concerned, it holds that the state preferences rather than state capabilities. Like how realism believes in state capabilities, but here liberalism believes in state preferences. So state preferences are the primary determinants of state behavior rather than the capabilities which it was having, either in form of soft power, hard power or sharp power. So unlike realism, where the state is seen as a unitary actor, liberalism allows for plurality in the state actions. Thus, preferences will vary from state to state, depending on the factors such as culture, economic system, governing government type, etc. Liberalism also holds that the interaction between the state is not limited to the political, means security purpose, that is called high politics, but also economic cultural, that is called low politics. So in this way we can say that as realism believes in power, but liberalism believes not only in power politics but also economic cultural other aspects, whether through commercial firms or organizations or individuals. Here the relations among the nations have been determined. Thus, instead of an anarchic international system where realism believes there are plenty of opportunities for cooperation and what I want to say broader notions of power, such as cultural capital, for example, the influence of films leading to the popularity of the country's culture and creating a market for its exports worldwide. For example, Indian film industry has been a demand in other countries of the world. So that kind of relations, means that is called cultural relations, also play an important role as far as business is concerned. So another assumption of liberalism is that absolute gain through cooperation and interdependence can be achieved only through the international market. So features, coming to know the features of liberalism. So here power is not the only thing that matters. States have common interests and common values also. Trade is the key common interest. So liberalism based on trade, means economic aspects. Global marketplace, it gives importance to the global marketplace. Interdependence is the key area of liberalism. Desire for rules, means here rules have been made by the international actors so as to determine the global marketplace. desire for predictability and stability. International system is based on the laws and institutions the rules which have been made by the international organizations like WTO, World Trade Organization, which is going to make the laws which determines the business among the nations of the world. And it also based on international system like UNO, which is going to determine the actions among the nations. So international law also play an important role as far as liberalism is concerned. So coming to know constructivism. This is another important theory of international relations which definitely gives importance to the construction. Means a nation which is going to influence its power at the international arena without uh, giving importance to the constructive activities like giving importance to the structures of government like legislature, executive and judiciary. So constructivism gives importance to the development of the nation internally. So whenever you are going to develop internally, then only you are going to have an influence on the international arena. This kind of concept has been uh, one of the important principle of constructivism. So constructivism has been described as a challenge to the dominance of neoliberal and neo-realist international relations theories. Michael Barnard described constructivist international relations theories as being concerned with how ideas define international structures, how these structures define the interests and identities of the states, and how the states and non-state actors reproduce these structures. So the key element of constructivism is the belief that international politics is shaped by pervasive ideas, collective values, culture and social identities. So constructivism argues that international reality is socially constructed by cognitive structures which give meaning to the material world. The theory emerged from the debates concerning the scientific methods of international relations theories and the theory's role in the production of international power. So Emmanuel Alder states that the constructivism occupies a middle ground, in fact, between interpretive theories of international relations. So in this way, constructivism have several features like here nation states are not all alike. Why? Because every nation state is differ from other. Even though in this era of democracy, but even in this 21st century, most of the nations of the world have been following communism in its pure form or the mixed forms, or what I want to say, constitutional monarchies or dictatorships. So African countries, Middle East countries, even the communist countries like what I want to say, Russia, North Korea, etc., are differ. So their interest also may differ. That is what constructivism believes. So all the states have are not having the interest alike. Political culture shapes their foreign policies also. So forms of the government shapes the foreign policies. The type of the foreign policy which they have been following totally depends on the type of the government which they are implementing. So history also play an important role which shapes the foreign policies of the countries of the world. So domestic political trends and the debates shapes foreign policies. States have identified. So states identity is also very important, and that influences the way the states interact with each other. For example, China sensitivity to any policies of other states that threatens its unity and sovereignty. So US desire to transform the world. So in this way, the desire, the nature, the history, the type of the government, the state identity, the political culture also play an important role in determining the foreign policies of the world. So in this way, construct the Orientalism of what I want to say, the Middle East countries, Chinese thought, Indian thought, in Indian values, okay, American liberalism, Western countries, what I want to say, neoliberal policies. So in this way, every continent have been following its own system of government. That also matters in designing their own foreign policy, which differs from nation to nation. So in this way, constructivism also become one of the important uh, theories of international relations that is going to discuss or define, determine the relations among the nations of the world. Marxism. So Marxism is another important theory of international relations. Marxist approaches argue that the position of historical materialism make the assumption that the economic concerns transcends others, allowing for the elevation of the class as focus of study. So Marxist believes that historical materialism or materialistic conception of history is which is definitely determines the relations among the nations. So Marxist view international system as integrated capitalist system in the pursuit of capitalist accumulation. So a subdiscipline of Marxist international relations is critical security studies. The Gramscian approaches rely on the ideas of Italian Antino Gramsci, whose writings concern the hegemony that capitalism holds as an ideology. So Marxist approaches have also inspired critical theories such as Robert W. Cox, who argues that the theory is always for someone and someone purpose. So one notable Marxist approach to international relations theory is Immanuel Wallerstein's world system theory, which can be traced back to the ideas expressed by Lenin in imperialism stage of capitalism. So world systems theory argues that capitalism has created a core of modern industrial system which exploits property of exploited, that is the third world countries. So in this way, what I want to say that Marxism also is one of the important theory of international relations, where it focuses on the fact that capitalism means capitalist countries have been exploiting the third world countries. So third world countries have become one of the important victims of the the domination of the capitalist countries. Coming to know another important theory of international relations, that is feminism. Feminist approaches to international relations became popular only in early 1990s. Such approaches emphasize the role of women, means women experiences continue to excluded from the study of international relations. So the feminist argues that the at international relations means men only dominates instead of women. So in this way, feminists believes that women's power also play an important role in the development of international relations. So international relations, feminists who argue that gender relations are integral to international relations focus on the role of diplomatic wives and martial relations. In fact, marital relations that facilitates the sex trafficking. So early feminists of international relations approach were the part of third great debate between positivist and post-positivist. They argue against what they saw as positivism and state-centrism of mainstream international relations. J. Ann Tricker argues that these approaches did not describe what feminist perspective on world politics would look like. Feminist international relations is sometimes oversimplified into women's issues or simply a need to add women and style. So international masculinities and international relations and gender bias, cost benefit analysis for sympathetic gender which was discussed by Charlotte Hoover. So makes the case of looking the relations among the nations through gender ions is important for all kinds of relations among the nations of the world. So in nutshell, what I want to say that feminism means the role of women cannot be ignored for establishing or determining the relations among the nations. In fact, I want to say most of the Western countries now have been dominated by the women presidents, women prime ministers. Coming to discuss another important theory of international relations, that is functionalism. Functionalism is a theory of international relations that arose principally from the experience of European integration, rather than the self-interest that realists see as motivating factor. So functionalist mainly focuses on common interest shared by the states. So integration develops its own internal dynamic as states integrate in limited functional or technical areas. They increasingly find the momentum for the further rounds of integration in related areas. This invisible hand of integration phenomena is termed as spillover. Although integration can be resisted, it becomes harder to stop integration's reach as it progresses. This usage and the usage of functionalism in international relation is the less common meaning of functionalism. More commonly, however, functionalism as an argument that explains phenomena as functions of a system rather than an actor or actors. So, functionalism mainly focuses on the functions of a system rather than the functions the role which have been played by the actors. So Immanuel Wallerstein employed a functionalist theory when he argued that Westphalian international political system arose to secure and protect the developing international capitalist system. His theory is called functionalist because it says that an event was a function of preferences, not the preferences of an agent. So in this way, functionalism is differed from that of realist arguments in that while both look to a broader point, but structures means structuralists are more broadly says that structures agents while functionists attribute causal power to the systems analysis. So in this way, functionalism also play an important role in determining the relations among the nations of the world. So these are the few important theories of international relations, but here I want to say that we cannot deny the fact that all the theories, either the theory of idealism or realism, idealism which revolves around peace, realism which revolves around power, constructivism which revolves around the structures, feminism which revolves around the role of women in international relations, or functionalism, all these theories have been playing an important role in determining the relations among the nations. No one theory, okay? Why? Because most of the nations of the world have also been playing significant role in establishing peace in the world. Even at the same time, the nations like America, China, Russia, India have also been playing an important role by using its either hard power or soft power or sharp power to determine the relations among the nations. So every theory of international relations has its own importance in international so as to determine the relations among the nations. So thank you very much for giving the opportunity so as to speak about the theories of international relations.